Hello everyone, Digfig here and welcome. Today I am doing a top 5 concerns about the Division 2, which launches tomorrow. Let's jump right in at number 5. Gear sets. These are not going to be in the game at launch. I don't think they might be. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm worried about them because when they were introduced in the Division 1, it made like everything else kind of useless. And the way they introduced them, only 3 at a time, made it so there was very little build diversity, and the old builds weren't really even comparable. They were just so underpowered compared to these new gear sets. Over time, they added enough where the build diversity felt good enough, still limiting. And I just still really didn't like it because then they added the 6-piece sets, which made just about every single yellow piece of gear in the entire game obsolete. And if you weren't running a 6-piece, some people considered you weaker and stuff. And I always personally was a little bothered because I like to run a 4 set of D3 with 2 yellows or 1 exotic and a yellow. And my gear score was always just lower than those people that had full 6-piece classified gear sets. And I guess I'll tack on classified here too. I like that they added it in the first one. It was great to give that a boost up in power, and it felt good to have super rare loot. But I didn't like that they only added classified gear to the set items instead of everything else. I think it would have been fun to have classified weapons and the yellows, and it would have stopped all those people that still liked the yellows or ran 4 and 2 pieces from just falling farther and farther behind. And also when they introduced the 6 and the set pieces, it made so much loot in the game complete junk. There was no need for any yellows. There was no interesting builds for it. Even with the exotics that they put in the game to allow you to get buffs, like do 100% extra damage and stuff like that when you didn't have a gear set on, it still just wasn't enough to compare to the insane bonuses on a 6-piece. And it really just reined in all the gear and the options and limited you into these narrow play fields. And if you didn't like any of the gear sets or they weren't really your thing, it really killed the game for some people. So I hope they take that into account when they introduce gear sets into this game. That's my tiny little concern. But let's go up to number 4. Number 4 for me is inventory size. In the Division 1, I had 3 other characters as alts that were just filled with loot with guns and random gear and classified gear sets because there just wasn't enough room. It gave us 150 slots. I'm pretty sure is the exact same amount of slots we're going to have in this one. I'll probably have alts again in this one, which I hate leveling, but I do just for inventory size. And what concerns me even more in this game is that to have 1 piece of each gear, and if you had perfect gun rolls, you had 1 of each talent on every single gun type, you would need 182 slots, and you only have 150 in your bank. My lip's so itchy. I got this. And I think this problem is going to be amplified by the way they changed the talent system, where now you have to re-roll talents from one gun to another gun, so like a transfer system. So in the first division, you would throw away any gun that had 2 bad talents on it because you could only re-roll 1 of them. So it was like, screw it. If it's got 2, it's just a piece of garbage. You're completely useless. Or now, even if it has just 1 good talent or one of the talents you like, you're going to want to keep that gun just so you can transfer that talent to another talent. And then if you get a gun that has 2 other good talents you like and doesn't have that talent, you're going to be keeping that gun also. So you're going to be keeping lots and lots of guns. You're going to have lots and lots of repeat talents. And to make sure you always have spare guns to transfer talents off of, you're just going to want to keep lots of guns. And they don't give you that much extra inventory space. And that 182 slots I said is without exotic armors and or exotic weapons packed in, because I'm not sure exactly how many of each there are right now. So inventory is going to get really out of hand really fast. That also doesn't include your gear mods, which go in those inventory slots, and weapon mods, which I think can still go in those inventory slots. In the beta, they just had the unlockable ones, and I guess you could get rare drop ones, but I wasn't sure if those go into the stash or not. That's something I'm really concerned about, especially as someone who likes to do build guides and experiment and just keep things on hand for if they change something in a patch notes, you have it so you can test it. Where it's going to be a lot of leveling alts and just trying to manage inventories on different characters instead of having it all in one nice unified space. Now my number 3 is exploits. Again, I have to start off with referencing back to the Division 1 holy freaking exploits between glitching through walls, stat combos that were just insane where you could one-shot people or have like infinite health regen from broken talents. It was just an absurd amount of exploits and bugs in the game that everyone used. You would glitch through walls to blow up APCs and just to bypass entire parts of missions just so it was easier and you could get loot faster. And I hope they had a good testing team this time around to squash some of these and learn their lessons. And there's been some bugs so far I've seen in the open beta, which is concerning, where like NPCs still spawn behind doors and make it so you can't complete objectives, which can be game breaking depending on where that bug happens. So I hope they fix all that stuff. And now for my number 2. This one might be a little bit more personal for me because I play on PC and I like to make content, aka content creator up in here. Sounds weird to say it, but that's what I am. That is performance issues. I spent over half of my playtime in all of the betas probably, or around half, just trying to tweak my settings and get the game to run at a reasonable FPS while recording and streaming. I even went as far as buying a $400 Elgato capture card, the 4K version, to try and make this work. Which I ended up returning because I really didn't like the audio qualities. And I continued to mess with the options, and I found settings that let me record pretty good, almost max graphics settings with 55 FPS on PC. That's good enough for me. It would 100% cap out my CPU usage, and tons of other people. This is all over the internet. I made a video for it. It's got tons of likes and views. People are having this issue where it's just 100% peaking out CPU and just hosing your entire computer by doing that. I have a 6700 i7 6700K overclocked to 4.4, which should not be maxing out. I've got 24 gigs of RAM. I've got a 1080 GTX. My PC should be able to handle just about anything right now. This game just hammers CPU usage, and it had this issue in Division 1 for years. They never fixed it. I really do hope they fix it, or a lot of people that make a living off of creating content in their communities and or are trying to make a living and get to that point are going to be unable to enjoy the game. And in general, there's going to be a lot of people that just don't want to play low FPS, crappy, laggy, lag spikes games because their game's not optimized properly. So I really do hope they fix this stuff and clean it up, and I hope it runs better than it did during the betas. Otherwise, they're going to have a major issue on their hands. Now for my number 1 biggest concern in all of the Division 2, and that is hackers. Now, this might be geared more towards PC players, because you console guys have it lucky where your games just run at 30 FPS. Even though I've heard bad things recently about some games not running at 30 FPS, but you guys also don't have to deal with as many hackers as we do over here on the PC. And in the Division 1, what truly killed this game was the hackers. Every single person I enjoyed playing with, every single friend I had in-game quit because of hackers. They dealt with the exploits, the overpowered mobs, the crappy gear loot system, endless bugs, exploits. I already said that one, but holy crap, there was a bunch of them. And they just dealt with everything that was broken and wonky, but they still enjoyed the PvP and were like, we're having fun, so we're gonna play it and just put all the other stuff aside. But the second people started teleporting through walls and then coming back out those walls and like instantly one-shotting our entire party almost every single day, people were like, I think I need to take a break and see what they do. And then they would come back, we would still play, we would do some PvE, we would do some PvP till we ran into a hacker. And then Ubisoft and Massive came out and were like, we're going to ban all these people for 1 week. Just 1 week bans for hackers. Pretty sure it was 1 week. It was a really short period of time for what they were doing, and no permanent bans. I think they were allowed like 2 or 3 strikes before they were completely banned. It was really bad. And the second that happened, I would say 2/3 of anyone I played with instantly left, and then within the next month, everyone was gone. It was more or less just me, and I was running around the Dark Zone solo. Got some good footage of me 1v4ing people, but like then eventually I got bored doing it by myself and I quit. And a lot of people quit the game just because of the hackers. And I really hope that they learn their lesson, and that if they have hackers, they deal with them harshly, and they announce that they deal with them harshly. And I think they should do public ban lists too. But I have no tolerance for hackers. I think they just need to be squashed, and no remorse for them. Don't do it. It sucks. It sucks for everyone. But let me know what your guys' biggest concerns are, or what order you would put these ones in down in the comments. I really do appreciate you watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you when the game launches tomorrow. Dig out.